This video is going to help you navigate picking your spots for this coming rut. If you were to boil down what the rut is actually all about, it really revolves around does. We need to be keeping this in mind as we're making our decisions on where to set up. So the first point I want to talk about on where you should hunt is the downwind side of doe bedding areas. Bucks will cruise this downwind edge, and as a result, they're able to smell whatever's in that bedding area, and they don't have to go running all through there and trying to find a doe. Instead, they can use their nose to work for them and smell if a doe is an estrus. This is the rut. Bucks will cruise the upwind side, but more than likely they're going to be on the downwind side. The next one is going to come at no surprise to you, and that is funnels. I love to hunt funnels. I believe, though, there's a very wide spectrum of the quality of the funnels that you're going to be hunting. There's also a lot of even overlooked funnels that you might not even think about. If you're hunting a funnel, I would make sure that you understand what your expectations and your goals are, though, for what deer you're trying to harvest. If you're trying to harvest just a deer in general, funnels are great. If you're trying to harvest a more mature animal, then I would think that you have some more criteria that you would try to make that funnel meet. For instance, if you're hunting a piece of very highly pressured public land and you're in the peak of the rut and there you've got, say, a very narrow strip of timber and it's obvious to a lot of people, it's easy access, that funnel is likely going to be over pressured. I would probably not hunt that. So if my goal was to hunt more of a mature buck, then I would potentially look differently at these funnels, maybe even put up a trail camera, try to get some intel that yes, nice deer are using this. Or maybe I just am really confident with it and I'm like, all right, I'll put a sit in and see if it pans out. You never know. Another thing is maybe the mature bucks just use these funnels during more the midday when most of the hunters are out of the woods. You know, bucks are cruising, they're looking for does, they're using these natural corridors to travel. Another thing I love, I'm gonna lump this in with the funnel point, but I love to hunt streams, along streams during the rut. Bucks use these as just a natural travel corridor, and it is also acting as a water source for them, which leads me into my next point, which is to hunt water sources. I think a really important part of being a good hunter is understanding what the natural factors are and how that is basically changing how the deer are behaving and what their needs are. So bucks, they are chasing and they're looking for does. They're needing to stay hydrated. Especially if you have a warm streak of weather, they're going to need that water. Maybe you're in an area where there's a limited water supply. Definitely, I would recommend hunting these water sources. Now, this water source, it might be a pond, it might be a water hole, it might be a water trough, really, it might be a stream, river, whatever it is. But if water is a limited supply and you have hot weather, it's definitely worth giving it a shot. So this next point is actually hunting the downwind side of doe feeding areas. And an important concept to be thinking about is how bucks are traveling this time of year. And they're in general traveling perpendicular to how does are traveling because they're able to cross those does trails and see if they're an estrus and then be able to pick up that trail. So say a doe is traveling from her bedding area to her feeding area, that buck is going to want to cross that trail and pick up that scent. Maybe you're hunting actually the field, or maybe you're just hunting just the inside edge of it and you're catching the bucks cruising that perimeter. Especially if it's, another high pressured scenario, those bucks are going to feel more secure being inside the wood line where they can still smell the field compared to exposing themselves in the wide open. Another really key factor to be thinking about is, does this spot correlate more to bedding or feeding? Because that's going to help you determine to hunt it in the morning or evening. And I would recommend hunting this more for an evening hunt compared to a morning hunt. Because also, if you're hunting in the morning, there's a higher likelihood that you're going to blow out any deer that are out feeding in that field, compared to if you're more hunting a hybrid spot, a transition, or closer to the bedding area. And the fifth point, last on our list, is hunting overlooked spots during the lockdown phase of the rut. The lockdown phase, just brief overview, it's when basically the majority of the does are in estrus, and basically I've heard Jeff Sturges describe it this way: all the bucks are invited to the party and they all basically have does this time of year. And they're locked down with the doe breeding, and this process takes a couple days, and they will leave that doe and then go and search for another one. Bucks like to find secluded areas where they're not having to fight off other bucks all the time and where they can be secluded and not bothered. So taking this into account, if you know generally in your area when the lockdown is, if you've bumped deer or seen deer this time of year bedded together, a buck and a doe, you might want to set up and hunt these spots proactively, expecting a buck to bring a doe to these areas. Maybe even want to just still hunt the day and just bounce around from spot to spot trying to hunt these, and even trying to do a spot and stalk, or just naturally just still hunting and see if you can get an opportunity to buck in this way. That's a wrap, folks, on my top 5 favorite rut hunting locations. I hope you give them a shot this season. I really don't think you'll be disappointed. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.